What is up, YouTube? I thought this would be a great time to show you my little personal stash here. I would show my face, but I have not exactly showered yet today, and I do not feel like it, so you're gonna get what you're gonna get, and you're not gonna have a fit. Alright, let's go. Ashwagandha, great for anxiety, would recommend. Works well in natural herbal stacks, stacks pretty well with certain race tams. Don't really use it too much anymore because I just haven't had issues with anxiety, but some of the stacks I used to take would give me anxiety, so ashwagandha would be a nice little level on those stacks. Okay, I do have some that are not from Powder City, so I'll get those out of the way next. L-theanine, as you can see from the packaging, this is probably one of the oldest bags I have. I'm surprised I even have any left. But if you take L-theanine and caffeine in a 2-to-1 ratio, they say it's actually as performance enhancing as would be taking a dose of Adderall, so take that for whatever it's worth. Got 5-HTP, building block for serotonin, gotta have that. I also have a big bag of Gaba somewhere from the same website. Not exactly sure where that was for this video though, so it wasn't really worth tracking down. And then of course, gotta have my 2 kilograms of absorbic acid, also known as vitamin C, and that is about 1,000 1-gram servings. So, nuclear holocaust, got my vitamin C covered for a while. Alright, next we have this that I'm not even going to try to pronounce, and this is actually what they put in energy drinks when they put too much bad shit in there. It's supposed to make it so your muscles, I don't know exactly how to explain it, but it's supposed to prevent muscle tightness in some way, shape, or form. Sulbutamine, B vitamin derivative, supposedly nootropic, effects by itself. I generally use it to take the edge off of other stacks. Paramiracetam, one of my all-time favorite race tams. Rhodiola rosea, one of the most well-researched, proven natural herbal supplements. Would recommend. You know, the first time I took it, I'm normally prescribed Adderall, and I felt like I had taken my Adderall dose, but was extremely boosted socially at the same time. Never really was the same after I took it for a couple weeks, but it's always a good thing to fall back on or stack with a Racetam or Phenibut if needed. Centrophenoxine, also known as DMAA. This is very neuroprotective, especially for people who use it in a harm reduction stack for things like Adderall. Don't really use this too much anymore, or by itself, just don't really have a purpose for it, but it did the job for quite a while. Next you have Glycine. Glycine is actually something that's supposed to make your sleep cycles more efficient at night. They say it's supposed to cut down the length of each sleep cycle, and I did notice that I would feel pretty well rested as long as I got 5.5 hours of sleep on the nights that I would consume this, so in my personal experience, placebo or not, it did seem to work. This one I'm actually not going to pronounce because I don't want to look like an idiot, but you can read and you can look it up. This is one of the herbs I used to rely on when I would run out of my Adderall prescription early. It works very well at first, but I did notice for me personally, it seemed to put a little bit too much strain on my heart after a few weeks of using it, and I haven't really used it since. Not sure if that's just me, not sure if I'm tripping, but would recommend under normal circumstances, but because of the whole heart thing with me, can't really say much more. I'm not really sure why that is. Alright, niacinamide. Also guys, if I pronounce any of these wrong, keep in mind, I read this shit online, like I haven't had a pronunciation guide, so hopefully that gives me a little bit of credit. This is basically niacin with some sort of chemical group added. It's supposed to make it so your body gets much less flush as the detox process occurs. Let's see. Next we have Spirulina, or whatever the fuck it's called. And this actually made me really sick the one time that I did it, and I had to do like 3 giant scoops of it, and it looked like this disgusting, like, murky green shit that a fucking shaman would give you, so I'm not really thinking I'm going to try that again anytime soon. It's supposed to be very good for your intestinal flora though. So, if you have any issue with bad bacteria, that might be the one for you. And my phone's gonna die, so I'm gonna hurry up a bit. Okay, got aniracetam, got piracetam, of course. Phenylalanine, one of the building blocks of dopamine, would highly recommend for those harm reducing with Adderall. You got taurine, also popular ingredient in energy drinks. That's because it reduces the pressure with each subsequent beat of the heart when it's in someone's system. This was actually dicaffeine malate that I put into a tub. Dicaffeine malate is just much better absorbed, much less bad in terms of negative effects for the body, or at least that's what it's purported to be. And then I got one pill left of this stuff called Ceretropic. This works at a genetic level, and it comes from Russia. It's supposed to cure about any psychiatric issue you have over time by regulating your genetics. Did seem to work for me, could have been placebo, so maybe the jury has not quite decided yet on this one. This is another Russian one called Grindex. It's also got a name that starts with an M. I'm not sure what it's called. This was actually banned by performance athletic associations because it makes blood flow much better, essentially. Which is good and bad. You don't want to mix it with certain things or your body will be playing catch up, so to speak. But by itself, it works wonders. Then, I'm not going to pronounce this, but essentially it's L-Dopa, which is the second to last building block before actual dopamine. Wouldn't recommend taking this without green tea extract with ECGCs because otherwise it can't really cross the blood-brain barrier. But if you do take it with that green tea extract, it does feel similar to an amphetamine dose for about an hour or two. Then, one of the favorite products from Powder City, Schizandril A. Technically, this is not the name of where you're going to find this elsewhere online. It'd be like Scandricis B and shit like that. And I loved being able to just search Schizandril A, so that's one of the reasons that I'm so sad about Powder City going out of business. But if you take this basically what this does is it's going to make everywhere in your body more efficient with oxygen to an extent, which is a very fundamental mechanism of action. I'm a very big fan of things that use mechanisms of action like this. Then you got N-acetylcysteine, NAC. This is actually something that I only use to combat glutamic excitotoxicity. If you're screwing with your if you're screwing with your GABA receptors a lot, you may be at risk of glutamic excitotoxicity. This makes it extremely unlikely that you're gonna have anything unless you're going way overboard. Like for example, Adderall tolerance is stored in NDMA receptors. This is supposed to prevent some of the toxicity that's causing the formation of that tolerance. Okay, or that might not be completely right scientifically, but at least that's the way I've been led to understand it. And then I have a huge bag of Phenibut, 500 grams. Phenibut's one of my favorite nootropics by far. Personally, I think that I'm deficient in GABA and dopamine relative to a normal person, and the jury's not out yet on whether or not Phenibut does increase dopamine, but it is heavily theorized to increase dopamine in the frontal lobe, and of course it works on GABA, I can't even pronounce that word. It works on GABA systems as well. Okay, now moving on. Let's see. Oh yeah, I'll show you this on the side quick. Phenethylamine. This was actually the building block for most of the research chemicals synthesized by Alexander Shulgin. Believe it or not, it's also the main ingredient in C4, or it was a few years ago. They actually sold me a bag that expired like 2 months after I got it, and this is a ½ kilogram. I wrote them a 1-star review. I think I got this one on Amazon because how the hell could I go through that much in like 2 months? It was absolutely retarded, and I will never be ordering from them again. But anyways, let's move on. Iridine monophosphate. This is for rebuilding dopamine, or building up more dopamine than you would normally have. What else do we got? Yohimbe. This is just one of those mild, well not mild, but I'd say it's a reasonable stimulant. And actually the only thing that's proven for this is erectile dysfunction, ironically, but people will swear by it for energy. Biacillin, that's more of a natural relaxant. Avena sativa oat straw. This actually has an antioxidant effect of 3 times blueberries, I believe, which is actually extremely high. The smallest little speck of this and you'll be in your dose range of 20 milligrams. Then you got Bacopa, one of the most well-proven supplements on the market. Works very well for relaxation. Not a huge fan myself, but that's only because I got to cap out a lot per dose. I think it's 750 milligrams. For some reason, my caps don't seem to want to put more than like 200 to 300 in for this stuff. So it can be a little bit annoying that way. Syn Efrain, this is another thing similar to Yohimbe, or octopamine if you've ever heard of that. It's similar to a synthetic hormone for energy. I wanted to say adrenaline, but I'm not sure if I should say it like that extreme. I don't think that would be accurate. But yeah, this does hype you up quite a bit. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this one. I can tell you the last part is uridine, and it does stack with uridine. This is also used to make denser dopamine and things like that. I usually only used this stuff because I used to take Adderall, and I wanted to compensate for some of the possible negative effects I was getting neurochemically. And wow, we're already at 10 minutes and 30 seconds, so I better hurry up. Pregnenolone, I wish I knew more about this supplement, but it's purported to work wonders in many different ways. I've also heard that this can be akin to, like, compared to Adderall by itself. Not sure if there's anything accurate or true about that. More research required. But yeah, definitely look into this one. It did help me out quite a bit back when I was working with Target. Alright, another tub of pramiracetam. Got another tub of oxiracetam. Initial tub of oxiracetam. And again, if I'm pronouncing anything wrong, just tell me. I'm well read, not necessarily well spoken. Gotta have my Bromantane. Would recommend this heavily. I did have to order it from Russia though. Hydraphenil. I mentioned in my last video how Powder City got shut down, and one of the main reasons was adraphenil. Well, Ceretropic actually has hydraphenil, a stronger version of adraphenil, but it's also less bad for you, and it's also much more efficient. Then I have Bromantane. This can actually be used to reverse tolerance of certain things, such as Adderall. Wouldn't really recommend in a stack or regular use, more as something to take on a drug holiday. Then I got PRL853. This goes great with the other supplement, IDRA21, which I am currently out of. Extremely profound effects on memory. Back when I was taking IDRA21, it would also make my ADHD medication last like it made it seem like it would last about 4 to 5 hours longer than normal. So for whatever that's worth, it worked pretty well for me. Okay, now we got phenylpiracetam hydrazide. Not really sure if adding a hydrazide group actually does anything. It didn't seem to make a big difference from regular phenylpiracetam. But either way, phenylpiracetam and its similar newts will always be my favorite. Absolutely love it. Then we got Go-To Cola. Correct me if the pronunciation is wrong. I'm not exactly sure. This is great for anxiety. All natural route, so can't go wrong with that. Shitajit is what I always call it. Not sure if that's what it's pronounced. I'm pretty sure this is another one of those things that's really good for your intestines and gut flora, but once again, didn't really agree with me. Also pretty hard to cap out for whatever reason, so haven't really touched it besides the first time I tried it. Alright. Piperin. This actually comes from black seed. This makes it so things like turmeric are able to cross the blood-brain barrier, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe turmeric is actually the most powerful antioxidant in the world if it's allowed to reach the blood-brain barrier, which this allows it to do. This will also allow you to absorb a considerable higher percentage of amphetamine when dosing prescription ADHD medication. I would assume it also increases bioavailability for other things, just based on the principle applied to amphetamine and other things, but I'm not exactly sure. Alrighty, rutacarpin. This one's actually empty, and I may have pronounced that wrong as well. This actually will take caffeine in your system and basically make it flushed out considerably quicker than it would have been before. And this actually does work. It almost feels creepy. Like, you can feel this working in your blood to remove caffeine. It's kind of interesting. It was pretty cool. I would work overnights, and sometimes I would take so much caffeine that I felt like I was going to have a heart attack. I would take this stuff, and about an hour later, I would have relief, and I'd be sleeping like in an additional 20 minutes after that. So this stuff was a real lifesaver for me. Then you got galantamine. Never was a fan of this. For some reason, I wasn't able to sleep on it, but this is supposed to make you have lucid dreams, similar to like a racetam that you would use at night, like while you're asleep. Didn't really notice anything besides the fact that I couldn't sleep. Not sure if it made the problem worse or what the deal was there, but yeah, I haven't tried that one since. And then I have alpha GPC, which is a must when you're stacking your racetams. What's the point in using a choline enhancer if it requires more choline, and you're not going to give it. So that's what you got alpha GPC for. And you got your DHEA. I got another DHEA. And then this I actually keep phenylpiracetam in. I've kept a few different things in this jar. This is all I have left right now though, so this is like the absolute last resort, because this is my favorite nootropic of all time. And then Rhodiola rosea, one of the most proven natural nootropic supplements. And I'll do a video showing you some of the scientific evidence for some of these things later. All I can say is this one is going to be up there, and so is phenylpiracetam. Phenylpiracetam's not very well studied, but let me tell you, there's a reason it's banned in athletic associations. There is a reason people have given it the stigma that it carries. I think that's about it. I did have branch chain amino acids, but I'm not really a big fan of those, so I'm not going to show you. Alright, peace out.